The pain of giving up is a thunderstorm that keeps its promise, rumbling long after the lightning has fled the sky. It is an echo trapped in the hollow of your own chest, replaying every might have been in surround sound until even your bones memorize the refrain. The pain of giving up is the taste of iron on the tongue of memory, the metallic afterbite of dreams left bleeding on the roadside while you drive away, pretending you never saw the accident. It is the slow bruise of silence, where a heartbeat of ambition used to drum loud and reckless against your ribs. It is the phantom itch of wings you clipped yourself, scratching at air that will never lift you again. It is the moment the marathon runner steps off the track, feeling the world spin on without them, feet still tingling with momentum that will now go nowhere, muscles rehearsing a victory that will never be staged. The pain of giving up is a clock that no longer ticks, yet somehow manages to keep perfect time. Because regret does not need seconds, minutes, or hours to measure its territory. It maps itself in pulses of what if that flicker behind closed eyelids, an aurora of lost chances dancing over the dark. It is a candle extinguished, smoke curling like a question mark asking, who dimmed the room? Even though every shadow knows your fingerprints match the wick. The pain of giving up is a mirror that refuses to lie. It shows the shape of your surrender in high resolution, every pixel etched with the truth that potential was evicted, not foreclosed. It is the ache in a musician's fingertips that remember chord progressions long after the guitar is pawned, the heat in a dancer's calves when the stage is dismantled, the tremor in a poet's tongue when the notebook is burned. It is the cafeteria at noon, and the chair where a shy kid once saved a seat for hope, but hope got tired of waiting, so now the chair just stares across a table of empty trays. The pain of giving up is a choir of unfinished sentences, every phrase ending with an ellipsis that never finds its next word. It is punctuation without a plot. It is the phone that stops ringing because opportunity left a voicemail too many times. It is the voicemail you never open because you already know the sound of your own excuses. The pain of giving up is the stale air in a dream house boarded up with planks of compromise, every window nailed shut to keep out possibility, yet the dust still gets in to write for sale across the furniture of your faith. It is the way sunrise feels like an accusation instead of an invitation when you've chosen to stay in bed with defeat. Dawn knocks on the blinds, but your eyes rehearse midnight. It is a novel with chapters torn out, pages strewn like feathers from an injured bird that will never migrate. Story grounded, destiny rerouted to nowhere. It is the museum of what would have been, corridors lined with portraits of you wearing triumph like sunlight, but every frame is cracked because your own hand dropped the hammer of hesitation. The pain of giving up is an ocean drained, but still salty, proof that even absence can burn the tongue. It is thirst in the land of could have flowed. It is a kite folded in a drawer, string tangled around itself like a self-inflicted knot. Wind keeps calling, sky keeps passing, but paper wings learn to speak mothball instead of breeze. It is the ghost town of enthusiasm, Main Street boarded, carnival lights flickering in a wind that whistles through rusted gears, asking why the ride was never allowed to spin. It's the sound of applause that never happened, echoing in a theater where seats still remember the warmth of anticipation, but curtains stay closed because the actor walked off stage before the cue. The pain of giving up is heavy, yes, but it is not swift. It settles slow like sediment in a river, layering over years until clarity is murky and the current drags less because even water learns to accept a shallower course. It is the weight of an anchor tied to feet that once danced salsa with possibility. Now every step sinks a little further into the sand of resignation. It is the way laughter sounds, overdubbed on memories of effort, canned and distant, because authentic joy packed its bags when you surrendered the fight. No surprises, no heartbreak of risk. Just the steady drip of monotony tapping a Morse code nobody bothers to translate. It is security fences built from fear, surrounding a yard of shrinking horizons. The grass you never water still grows brown, but at least no weeds of challenge can sprout in soil you refuse to till. The pain of giving up is a lullaby sung in a pitch that numbs instead of soothes, a melody that promises rest but steals resurrection. It is the sigh that replaces the roar, the shrug that replaces the stretch, the scroll that replaces the script you were born to write. It is your name pronounced in past tense by the mouth of destiny. They were going to change things. It is the apology you make to yourself in the mirror each morning, whispered so softly even the steam can't hear it, yet loud enough your skin bristles at the shame. It is the moment envy roosts on your shoulders like a vulture, pecking at your focus every time you witness someone else do what you decided was too hard. It is the sting of celebrating others with half-clenched fists, because each cheer pulls a thread from the tapestry you refuse to finish. It is the day you stop telling stories with beginnings and start telling anecdotes with excuses. The narrative arc collapses into a flat line of could've. It is a GPS stuck on recalculating because you chose park instead of drive. The satellites of potential still see you, but you've turned the volume down on their directions. It is the edge of the cliff where fear built a bench labeled safety view, and you decided sightseeing was sufficient, though wings were waiting in your backpack. The pain of giving up is the orchestra tuning forever, never striking the first chord. Every musician ages in 12-tone limbo, perfect pitch wasted on perpetual preparation. It is a letter addressed to tomorrow, returned to sender marked, did not attempt delivery. It is bedtime stories that children never hear because the author never felt ready to write chapter 1. It is seeds stored in jars labeled someday while seasons pass and the field goes fallow. Barns full of untasted harvest haunting the farmer who forgot the feel of soil under fingernails. It's a compass spinning because magnetic north of aspiration was demagnetized by doubt's relentless tapping. It is the taste of coffee gone cold in a mug that once steamed with ambition. Sip by bitter sip, you swallow a day you decided not to brew fresh. It is a heartbeat slowed to idle while dreams rev their engines in distant garages. Exhaust fumes of impatience fogging the rear view of complacency. It is political speeches about change, delivered only to bathroom mirrors. Voters of possibility left disenfranchised by your silent campaign. It is the smell of chalk dust on an empty blackboard where formulas of greatness were almost solved, but the bell rang and you never returned to class. It is the dust jacket of a life story without a spine, pages sagging under the weight of words unsaid. It is velvet ropes around exhibits titled Courage, Tenacity, Resilience, yet the gallery lights stayed dim because the curator dismissed the crowd before opening day. It is the tremble of a note that never joins the chord, a harmony unsung, a crescendo unrisen. It's the whisper of possibility haunting hallways when everyone else has left the building. Heels clicking on tiles patterned with second thoughts. It is a field of poppies grown wild over buried ambitions, their red petals flaunting the blood of sacrificed aspirations. It is the last leaf clinging to a branch after autumn, too afraid to fall, never learning that the ground is how trees feed their own rebirth. The pain of giving up is subtle erosion. Cliffs do not crumble overnight. They soften grain by grain under waves of resignation until one morning the horizon stands farther away because you are smaller. It is a castle inhabited by doubt, moat filled with reasons, drawbridge raised by lethargy. It is volunteers for your own defeat standing in line, eager to sign the waiver of what once ignited your eyes. It is the applause you practice in your head for triumphs you'll never taste, a standing ovation delivered in a theater of echoes, every phantom clap slapping your ribs. It is the parentheses around a life sentence where the main clause of purpose never lands. It is the drone of fluorescent lights in an office of monotony, cubicles stacked high with calendars where each X marks a day that looked exactly like the last. It is the flicker of inspiration censored by the blackout curtain of "not today." It is the quiver of a bow pulled halfway, then released, arrow tumbling to earth without song, target unpierced, but still waiting. It is the surgeon's gloves never worn, stethoscope mute, because the doctor of dreams decided healing was too costly. It is the lawyer's brief locked in a drawer while injustice laughs unchallenged. It is the teacher's lesson plan left in drafts while curiosity starves in classrooms. It is the activist's sign gathering dust while streets echo with silence. It is the athlete's jersey hung on a hook where sweat remains only a memory. It is the painter's easel draped in cloth because color dared too boldly. It is the chef's knife sheathed, flavors unfound. It is the architect's blueprints bleaching in sun, skyscrapers unrisen. It is the astronaut's helmet fogging with sighs. It is the conductor's baton waiting for arms that forgot the gesture of uplift. It is the botanist who forgets names of flowers because he no longer gardens. It is the child inside every adult sitting cross-legged, holding a paper plane, waiting for a gust of courage that never comes. The pain of giving up is the anthem of almost, the hymn of halfway, the ballad of barely. It is the lull in lungs when words like try and risk are replaced by safe and later. It is the long shadow cast by a spotlight turned off too soon. It is the snowfall covering footprints that once led toward summits. It is the cold where sparks once nested. It is the hush after a slammed door, echo lingering though conversation ended. It is a library of blank pages in the chronicle of what your life could tell the world. It is the difference between echo and voice, shadow and shape, silence and song. It is the taste of salt water on lips that never reached the shore because the swimmer swore the waves were too high. It is the avalanche of doubt burying the climber halfway to peak, suffocating in white noise, whispering stop. It is the darkness behind eyelids at noon because you choose sleep over awake, comfort over quest. It is the paradox of quitting. Relief at first, then a loneliness deeper than exhaustion ever was. It is the bargaining chip you drop on the table of fate. You fold, destiny wins, but the prize remains unclaimed. It is the chorus of bones cracking from disuse, marrow mourning motion. It is the portrait of you painted in grayscale, saturation siphoned by surrendered will. It is the lullaby of mediocrity, sung with perfect pitch by voices you invited. It is the emptiness of a nest left vacant by fledglings that never believed they could fly. It is the warm bed where courage goes to die beneath blankets of comfort. It is the stale perfume of good enough lingering on collars where greatness was supposed to rest its head. The pain of giving up is the iron door closed from the inside, key tossed into rivers of self-doubt. Outside, opportunity knocks in vain until knuckles bleed hope. It is the watchtower unmanned while fires spark in valleys you promised to protect. It is the broken promise to the child you once were, the one who believed anything was possible. Now that child sits on the curb, kicking gravel, waiting for grown-up you to remember the oath. It is the rattle of chains forged from every excuse. Too old, too young, too late, too early, too busy, too tired. Links clanking each time you shift in the chair of complacency. It's the whisper of ancestors whose sacrifices bought your freedom, now wondering why you pawned it so cheaply. It is the tremor in your voice when asked, what sets your soul on fire? And you answer with embers you've convinced yourself could never blaze again. It is the hiccup in your pulse when you overhear someone living the dream you surrendered, their laughter causing tremors in walls you built around desire. It is the scrim of jealousy over eyes that once sparkled with possibility. It is the weight on your back, not from carrying the load of effort, but from dragging the carcass of abandoned passion. It is the feast you skip because cooking takes courage to light the stove. So you settle for crumbs of distraction, snacks of scrolling, leftovers of someone else's creativity reheated in the microwave of comparison. It is the circus tent collapsed because the ringmaster walked out, lions pacing cages, trapeze ropes still taut, popcorn stale. It is the engine idling in the driveway of your heart, tank full, Map ready, horizon beckoning, yet parking brake engaged by the hand of hesitation. It is the letter of resignation you hand to yourself before the interview even starts. It is the diploma you do not pursue, stamped in visible ink of not worth it. It is the wedding vows between potential and action that are never spoken. The ring remains in the jeweler's case, sparkle yearning to encircle a finger that points toward progress. It is the greenhouse, where seeds argue that soil will be too dark, forgetting that darkness is how roots learn the language of strength. It is the orchestra of sighs that fill the hallway whenever you walk past your own possibility. It is the echo in your footsteps as you tiptoe around challenge, careful not to wake the giant of greatness. It is the déjà vu of failure forecasted, a self-fulfilling prophecy scribbled in indelible ink across the calendar. It is the smell of rain you ignore, though fields of effort beg to drink. It is the stark white canvas turned away from sunrise because color might smear perfection. It is the net cast into safe shallows where no fish swim, thrown again and again to prove risk is pointless. It is the planet that stops rotating because fear petitioned gravity to pull harder. It is the prayer unanswered because it was never uttered. It is the currency of time spent on bargains that discount your value. It is a locked door with the key taped to the frame, but you never reach. It is the note in the margin of life's sheet music marked fermata, hold, hold, hold until the measure ends in silence. It is the flight delayed indefinitely because the pilot resigned in midair. It is the apology letter destiny writes to you but never sends, waiting for you to deliver it to yourself. It is every sunrise dimmed by the memory that yesterday looked exactly like today. It is the truth that the only thing heavier than failure is the story you never let yourself fail at. It is the realization that scars from battle hurt less than the hollow ache of battles not begun. It is the cruel comfort of stasis, the anesthetic of anticlimax. It is the poem without punctuation, stuttering to a stop, line after line of potential cut mid-syllable. It is the cathedral with unfinished spires, scaffolding rusting, echoes trapped. It is the universe's unanswered call waiting on hold. It is the hollow ring of applause recorded and looped to mimic victory. It is the sunset you miss while drawing curtains closed against the glare of uncertainty. It is the desire to be invisible, overriding the need to be incandescent. It is the lull in your legacy, a pause pregnant with possibilities never birthed. It is the monotone hum of life without modulation, melody, or modulation, a song in grayscale. It is the final breath exhaled someday far from now that curls back into your lungs, carrying the names of all the risks you refused, and you realize the pain of giving up never left. It just learned to mask itself as normal. And so it ends only when you decide it will not end you, when you trade the weight of surrender for the wings of still possible, when you choose to stand where you once knelt, to scream where you once whispered, to run where you once stalled. Because the pain of giving up is real, but the possibility of rising again is a defibrillator to the heart of purpose, jolting pulse into momentum. And if you dare to taste that current, pain will become fuel, and giving up will give way to giving all, until there is nothing left but the thunder of your comeback shaking the sky that once wept over your retreat.